So again, I could appreciate how much you had to kind of really develop on your own. And, I was listening yesterday to something about by the time we're 7, we have these programs that are already programmed within us. And a good part of the rest of our lives is deprogramming those programs. And not having that level of guidance, you really, really had to depend on yourself. And I just kind of have a sense that your intelligence also helped your ability to nail down those days when you needed to and go after something that you really wanted.
Well, it took a lot of work, I think, to decide what parts of me I can trust too, even myself, where what messages I should be listening to that made sense. So, um, I can look.
How did you do that, Hal? How did you go about it? What were some of the things that, kind of methods, teachers, anybody that sort of helped you along the way?
Well, I can tell. Let's see. There's one story. After I got my MBA, actually, I went to work for a conglomerate. This is 1973, 74, and it was actually my dad's cousin was the CEO of Chromalloy American Corporation. He had put together. This was the 70s when conglomerates were hot, and they were trading his massively overpriced stock for small to medium companies between 5 and 50 million in sales. And they had gotten real close to $1 billion, and they were just putting their own team together. And I was one of the 2 junior accountants brought in the internal audit department. And went through my first year, learned a lot. Matter of fact, probably a lot of what I do today. I went from company to company. Our job back in those days was to go to each company and try to get the money back to corporate faster. So go through their books and, collect the receivables faster, pay the payables slower, lower our inventory, all these usual things you have to do so that, we can get the money back to corporate so they could get their loans down. Anyway, but because of that, that's kind of what I do now. As I go into different, as a Vistage chair, I get to meet a lot of different CEOs, business owners who are trying to make their best decisions. So that was a kind of a good setup. But back to your question about the mentoring. So what happened is I was there for a year, and my review comes up, and my boss says, "Hey, we want to give you a little bit of raise and a little more responsibility." And I'm still, my prefrontal lobe still haven't developed fully. I'm 23, and I'm like, thanks. I think I might want to do something different here. I see lots of opportunities. Let me go talk to my dad's cousin, the CEO, and because I got some ideas. So my boss, Brad, the internal audit manager, goes to his boss, George, the controller. George goes to Frank, the CFO, and Frank says, "Fire the asshole." And so I was out. But 3 weeks later, I had already started my own business with some friends during college. We were in the music business, and I had a record store. I went back. I wanted to say thanks to my dad's cousin, Joe, and tell him what happened. And he was kind enough to bring me up to his office and says, old Jewish guy, Harold, over the years, I've developed some sechel. That's Yiddish for wisdom. And I got to tell you that, I was happier when I was running my dry cleaning business. I got all these stockholders. I got all kinds of stakeholders that are, I got vice presidents, all these companies, all on my case to do things. I got Frank in the other office who fired you. Harold, blood is thicker than water. If you want to work here, you can't work here, but I'll put you in Europe or in California or something. I'll find something for you. But if I were you, I'd stay with my own thing. You got that music business, stick with that. Be in charge of your own life.
So that was a big
step. Yeah.
A big step.
Big mentor, I'll never forget the conversation.